Hello crochet friends, and welcome to my little nook of the world where I love to create some crochet pieces and share it with you who enjoy crochet and crafting as well. I'm Geraldine. Welcome to G Crochet Off the Hook. I did attempt to get this video done yesterday. That was Tuesday, so I'm on point for what day of the week it is. It is Wednesday. And it's our second last week of July already. Today I have two finished projects I'd love to share with you, as well as some updates on the two blanket cowls. Now the first blanket has been waiting because it was completed, and then I also wanted to give it a gentle wash to make sure that all the squishiness from the yarn that I used came to the forefront, and it has. So let's start with our Sweet Dreams baby blanket. Now this is a pattern, it's a paid for pattern from M&M Crochet Designs. It consists of 9 squares. I made some notes, I didn't have to bring out that big file folder. You start off with your 9 squares. Each square has a frame that you put onto that square. The squares all consist of between 11 to 12 rounds. The frame on each square is 7 rounds. And then you get to slip stitch or join as you would like all those squares together and add a 15 round border. Now I used for this one a 4.5mm crochet hook, and I was using Charity's DK. This is a Sapotex owl yarn. I used in total 3 300-gram skeins of yarn, plus for each color as well I have dipped into new skeins. Now each ball that I used was 300 grams. That's 699 meters, 764 yards. It recommends a 4mm crochet hook, but I did use the 4.5, and I used the 3 different colors. So I used a color called Thistle. So I've used one 300-gram ball, and this is what's left of the second one. I then also used this color called Tawny, and also one 300-gram plus this one. Both of these have quite a lot left. And the last color of the trio that I used is this color here called Merlot. And again, I used one full 300-gram plus some of this one. So there's our colorway. And here is our finished Sweet Dreams baby blanket. And it has been washed, is wonderfully squishy and warm. So we have our 9 squares. And for these I alternated between just the Tawny and the Thistle to create the inner squares. And then I played around putting the frame on each square by alternating those 2 colors. And then for the border, I used the color Merlot. And I'm quite chuffed with how this colorway played out. These are actually yarns that my husband and I chose together. The colorway, I'd say at least about 2.5 years. 2 years, about 2 years, not last year, perhaps beginning of the year before. We chose this colorway together. I did intend to make this double-sided, so I was going to make 18 of the squares and put it together. But it just turned out that that particular sizing of putting the squares together would not actually cover the bed that we were wanting to have it for. So I'm quite happy with the size that I have now. This is not the first time I have made this pattern. I have made it before in some lovely neutral brownie colors, and that is my baby blanket that I have with me on the couch in the lounge from quite a few years ago. So absolutely love this particular pattern, especially the squares. They are just beautiful textured squares, and if you pace yourself, you could make a whole lot of them and arrange them in ever which way that you would choose to have them. So that was my first finished make, completely off the hook, washed and as squishy as can be. This is a 100% acrylic yarn, and I remember somebody did ask me very recently how I washed my crochet makes, and even the amigurumis, although the amigurumis I would normally put into a, what do they call it, into a washing net of some kind. Mine usually is a pillow cover, but I use a baby soft hypoallergenic washing liquid and half a cup of white vinegar, and that is how I have always washed all my handmade makes, and they seem to last quite fine, just like that. So there we go. Now completely changing the yarn size and the material and the hook size, I did also get to complete a very needed necessity in our house, and that was to get us a new bathroom mat. I've just laid it down here. So I think last year sometime I did share when I was talking about particular t-shirt yarn, and this yarn I'm going to share with you now, which is a ribbon yarn. Let me just grab this here. There we go. To make some household goodies. And I love this particular yarn. Now I used a 10mm crochet hook, and this one that I used is Kismet's Papatea. It is 80% cotton and 20% polyester. 200 grams, that's 120 meters per skein. And for this bathroom mat, I used, I did use 5. I used 2 different colors. So I used, the color name on this says indigo, but you can see it's a light blue, so not very much the indigo I was thinking of, and a light gray. So I used 5 of those. This is the yarn. It's a ribbon yarn, like that. Just very flat. It's really like you're just crocheting with some ribbon. And I made a bathroom mat. Now, the pattern that I used is, there is a tutorial on YouTube for it. There is also a printout, I'm pretty sure. I'll just double check. It is from the Crochet Crowd. It's called Hugs and Kisses Sunshine. It is a baby blanket, and it's by Jan. She does quite a few patterns for the Crochet Crowd. So you might have seen this little picture quite often. I have used this specific pattern to make small rugs and also to make our bathroom mats. I just love the texture that it has. Now, this one is very fresh. So the popcorn stitches that you use on here will look very 3D. And I forgot to bring it now. It's most probably slightly wet anyway. I do have another one that's in the bathroom right now. There's actually nothing wrong with it. It's just that as winter has gone on, we realized we would rather have two in there than just the one. And this is how it looks. So for the bathroom mat, using this 10mm crochet hook and the ribbon yarn that I just showed, I only do this particular baby blanket pattern. Sorry, I should have checked before I stood up. And I only do this to round 20. And I mean, you can play around with how you would want to place your colorways. The one in the bathroom right now is different to this one. But for this one, I started off the center with a light gray. The round before you do the popcorn stitches, I decided to use that light blue. 3 rounds after the popcorn stitches, I then changed back to the gray. Again, the round before the popcorn stitches, I changed back to the light blue. And then I ended with round 19 and 20. So you end with a nice single crochet edging. And there you go. This, I call it our luxury bathroom spa mat, if I can put it that way, because for quite a while, at least 3 months, I'd say, these popcorn stitches are really like little massages for your feet and your toes as you walk on it. Obviously, this material is wonderfully soft, so it's not like you're standing on something too hard, but just that sensational feeling. It's almost like having some smooth pebbles underneath your feet while you're standing on this particular bathroom mat. And I tell you what, for me, one, to find a star-shaped bathroom mat, I've never seen one in the shops locally, but for this size, and I haven't measured it, but it's a good size bathroom mat, this. In the shops, to buy one of those big fluffy ones is quite a few moolahs. So to be able to make one, and the other thing about this material, I'll also say, I do wash this in the washing machine with my usual little recipe, but this can also go into the tumble dryer. And as I did mention, over time, the popcorn stitches do flatten out even more. At the moment, seeing these popcorn stitches next to the one that's been with us for a few years now does look a little bit odd because those popcorn stitches are quite flat. But so now I can stop bringing this in here every time I think I'm going to record and just leave it in the bathroom. I'm sure my husband will be very pleased that he doesn't have to say, oh, are you still busy with that, or can we have it in the room permanently? So that is our second finished make. Definitely was a necessity for these cold mornings, and that is using a baby blanket pattern, a very large hook, the 10mm, and some wonderfully structured but soft and gentle ribbon yarn to create a bathroom mat. So as I put this down, let me bring in the first of the 2 cowl blankets progresses that I'd like to share with you. And the first one is our Builder Blanket 2026 with Litsa from Crochet Crowd. Now, the 2 blankets that I am making at the moment, both of them are hopefully going to be, at the end of the project, a lovely lap size blanket. I am trying to use the yarn that I have on hand, and for my Builder blanket, I did get in some extra yarn. So, having chosen to do these particular blankets as a square, obviously the bigger your blanket grows, the more yarn you're going to use. So I am trying to stick within what I have on hand and what I've added to the project to make it work. And for our builder blanket, our last combo that we received, which was combo number 6, we got the Catherine wheel stitch. And I was super excited and super nervous for myself because I was wondering, how am I going to put the Catherine wheel stitch onto a square blanket that's already established? The first thing I did was check in with some of my notes that I have for certain stitches in a file, and I saw I did have saved, again from Mikey at the Crochet Crowd, Catherine wheel stitch video tutorial and a written pattern from 2014. So I started to feel a little bit happier knowing that I had perhaps seen this stitch before and attempted to do it. And I had made 2 flat panels and stitched them together. Of course, it's always sort of strange to go back and see some of your crochet pieces. Although you look at it all the time, you don't quite realize how your stitches have changed along the years. But I had made myself a Catherine wheel stitch book cover. So, and this one was in plain color. And all I did was I made it large enough to fit. This is actually my Bible cover. And then I had just crocheted the sides together, made a granny square. This is just a granny square. I tacked it down this side. I sewed it across the top of the Catherine wheel stitch sample I did on this side, and then made it into a little triangle and put a button on it. So I'm sharing that as just an idea. If you needed to practice a stitch and you had some pieces, you would be able to, perhaps make a little book cover of some kind. Also, while I was re-looking at the stitches that I had done, I did see, because it's changed now, if you go and look at more tutorials, there used to be a very big gap when you closed your Catherine wheel circle. And as I looked at newer tutorials and so forth, I did see that there are many different ways of achieving your Catherine wheel stitch. So what did I have to do? Well, first of all my half double crochet work that I had done previously, I had to frog back. So I frogged back the double crochet row that I had been sealing all my pattern stitches off with, and I took off another half double crochet row. So I had from combo 5 my variegated and 3 rounds of the half double crochet. And then for myself, the best way for me to set the stitches up correctly so that I could get a set of the Catherine wheel stitch out was I made a foundation for myself with the variegated yarn. So I'm sort of just creating my little lap blanket as we build our blanket, with a few extra building foundations in for myself. But I thought it would be best that I used the variegated to sort of camouflage and set up my base row to start the Catherine wheel stitch. Also knowing that my variegated skein was the one and only that I had of that, and it's a different yarn to the one that I'm using. So I just wanted to make sure that I made the best use of the yarn without any extra wastage. So this is how we are looking. My half double crochet rows did shrink by a bit. We set up a base to start the Catherine wheel stitch, and then I got my green and red in for the Catherine wheel stitch. And I am going to just rejoice and celebrate in having accomplished that. I'm loving how this is all coming together. We can get a wider angle there. So the first thing my husband said was, and how are you going to square all of this off with the next one? And I said, right now, I'm just rejoicing that the way this planned out and I was able to get the stitches and to make it go all the way around is what I'm rejoicing for now. And when we receive our next surprise from Litsa of our stitch and color combo, I will tackle it as that comes. I do know that this is not going to be one that I can undo though. Like, I was very fortunate with the half double crochet. I was able to, undo, sort of work out a yardage for myself and put a foundation in there. But I am so happy with the little challenges that come up. We scratch our head and then we are still able to build our blanket. So the yarn that I'm using for this is, and I used Petal Pink for the pink, and we used Dark Sage for the green. And this is the Kismet's Knitspiration. This is the chunky one, and I'm using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You see, I'm using the chunky. Initially, when I started this blanket, I also wasn't reading my labels very clearly. As a chunkier yarn, there is less meters. These are 100 gram, 3.5 ounces, 150 meters, 163 yards. So far I have faith that I will, with what I have on hand now, and even having done all those stitches, I was able to use what I have in stock at the moment. So that's our update on Build a Blanket 2026 with Litsa at Coco's Crochet. And then an update on my second cowl blanket. And again, yes, I decided to try and make a square. And I'm learning so many different things while putting this square together. The first one with this one is, and both these two blanket cowls are fortnightly. So I sort of have like a week to work on the one and then a week to work on the other one. And every second week we get our stitches. Now this is such a fun, and again keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's Roller Row, our dice blanket with Lynn from Lynn Penguin's Creations. Now here we have the dice. Let us know what color, if we should stick to that color, what stitch we're going to use, and how many rows we are going to create. So far we started with a popcorn, which I have explained previously is making my center quite a bit heavy, but that's okay. Then we went on to our V-stitch. We got to do the moss stitch, the V-stitch, and our last two stitches have been rather calming for me because it's helped me to try and sort of take some of the heaviness from the center of this blanket and spread it along the side so that I'm still sitting pretty with a square blanket. So we had 2 rows staying in the same color of the single crochet, and just this Sunday, Monday, is it Monday, Sunday, we got to change color and do 2 rows of the moss stitch. So fortunately, I feel these two have given me a little bit of reprieve into being able to manage keeping this lap blanket square. And I can't wait for, not this weekend, but the next weekend, we will have our next roll of the dice. So again, for this one, I'm also now using a 5.5 because I've had to make sure, especially when we did the moss stitch, that those chains that I was creating in between wasn't pulling everything a little bit too tight. And the yarn I'm using for this is Elite Yarns Snowball DK. And I just have 2 of each of these colorways. They are 100 grams and there's 300 meters in each one of these. And these are the 3 colors that I have to play with. So as the dice says to us, stay or change, and what our stitch is, I am able to put that into this square blanket. So that's our Roll a Row dice blanket with Lynn from Lynn Penguin's creation. And that is my update on my cows and my 2 finished projects. One that can go straight into the bathroom because I know that's where it's needed, and the Sweet Dreams baby blanket. That one, we'll see where that one goes. But for now, I wish you all a really joyful rest of your week. And until I see you again, remember to choose kindness. Bye for now.